We have Jeremy in Colorado. Thank you so much for waiting. I appreciate your patience. You were on hold for pretty much the whole show, and Jim and I are happy to stay after to talk to you, I guess, about corruption of the church is what you want to talk about. How are you?
Yes, it is. Thank you very much. I'm okay. You know, I'm going through some trials in my life that's difficult with authority and all that. But I just want to say I value your opinion, and I think you're an intellect. And thank you for taking my call. I'm privileged to speak to you. I feel privileged to speak to you. I am calling saying that it's hard for me because I do have faith, and I don't feel I could ever give up that faith. And I've listened to your show maybe over the past year, and so decided to call you, and here I am, first time calling, get to speak to you. That's pretty cool. You've mentioned how it's hard for people to get over their religion, and it takes a certain amount of time. I've kind of thought about it, but in my own life, my aunt who had cancer, they had x-rays of all these things, and she was in Texas at the time. She went in one day when they were about to do an operation, and before the operation, they tried to take scans again, and suddenly all the cancer had disappeared. So to me, that's pretty miraculous. And the own doctor said, if I didn't have the scans that showed the cancer before, taking a new scan today, I would never believed that you ever had it. So to me, that is a sign of healing. But myself, being abused in the church as a child, I've had this conflict because the person abusing me would go do praise and worship, and they would do all this. It was Pentecostal, so it was just gibberish, and it's like they made up things. So
Jeremy,
and I just, yes, sir.
Jeremy, we know that cancer goes into remission, and we know that human beings make mistakes, and we know that people tell stories. If there was someone who had cancer, where all of the studies showed, all of the data showed they had cancer, and then they showed up one day and they didn't have cancer, I could see that being written up in a medical journal as an anomaly. But you, instead of looking at it as an anomaly and concluding either some mistake in the paperwork was made, some mistake in the diagnosis was made, or this is one of the illnesses for which there is spontaneous remission on occasion, or many other, you just concluded that the best explanation is that a God did it.
Yes.
How many examples do you have of confirming that a God has done anything?
Well, just stories that I've heard.
No. I asked specifically, how many examples do you have confirming that a God has done anything? Not stories. I have lots of stories. I have stories about aliens. I have stories about countless gods. Clearly, we can't take stories. So how many times in the history of the world has anyone successfully demonstrated that a God has ever done anything?
I guess you would just have to believe that these things actually did happen, but I guess zero proof.
Yeah. So the answer to the question is zero, and you have faith and you don't want to give faith up. So is faith a good reason to believe something? Is there any position that you couldn't believe and say, I take it on faith, for example, that white people are better than black people, that you could believe that based on faith, couldn't you?
I guess you could. That's kind of a hard concept to
it is, but if there's 2,500 people in a big room and all of them believe in a different God and all of them believe because they have faith and only one of them can be correct at most, how do we tell which one of them, if any, are correct?
Each individual has their own choice to make. It's all about free will.
Yeah, the problem is, what if you believe that your aunt, you believe in a God because you think your aunt was cured of cancer, and it turns out there's a different God who exists and is real and did not cure your aunt? Haven't you made a terrible mistake?
Yeah, I myself conclude that God has many faces, and that's what I tell, and it has come from my raising.
But that's you trying to rationalize things. It's not like you have any evidence for God having many faces, do you?
No, I do not.
So you're basically admitting that when you look around at all this God stuff, you are willing to just make shit up that is comfortable.
Yeah, I guess I've always had kind of an inquisitive view on life, being as a sleepwalker and experiencing deja vu. I always felt like my dreams have led to places that have shown things that would come to place. And I have researched what dreams have mean in different religions, not just my own. and the similarities between them all, and going toward the Bible, knowing that dreamers did exist and many people who did bad things and then, were awful, doesn't mean, I don't know. It's just, I do
Well,
feel
do you think
I know that's probably
do you think being willing to just make shit up when you don't know the right answer is a good way to go through life?
Yeah, I understand that the human brain can help compensate that way.
Yeah, instead of stop looking. So you talked about you did all this research into dreams and dreamers, and dreams have meaning. What if dreams don't have any meaning? What if it's just what the brain does when it's trying to process stuff and there's no hidden message in the dreams at all? Did you consider that?
Yeah, I do consider that. But when I had a dream right before the election, I was photographing an eagle and it flew over sharks, and I looked at both of those meanings that had to do with the eagle being power and the sharks being disease. And
You are assuming that eagles mean power and sharks mean disease. Where did you learn that? How do you show that that's true?
I looked it up at different resources of people who analyze dreams on the internet.
Yes, and people who analyze dreams on the internet, how do they demonstrate that they're correct that eagles mean power?
I guess some people have said that
they are making shit up just like you. You are so fond of making shit up that you have now bought into other shit that people have made up. You don't have to do that, Jeremy. You can say, I don't know what the explanation for this is. Or you can say, I'm not going to put too much stock in dreams or what somebody else tells me dreams mean until there's good reason to think that they might be correct. That's skepticism. That is reserving judgment until such time as there's a good reason. I genuinely, and I don't mean this to be mean, Jeremy, I genuinely don't understand a mind that says, hey, I'm comfortable when I don't know the right answer to just make shit up. And when I don't understand what something means, I'm willing to just take someone's word for it if it feels good. That is the way that we lead ourselves to deception, to delusion. Instead, we should be looking for evidence and reserving judgment until there's evidence for the proposition. And I don't want to make this hard. I don't want to beat it up. We're over time, and I took through that. Call us back sometime, Jeremy, after you've kind of thought about this, to see if you can come up with a better methodology for determining your beliefs. And if you can't, okay, I can appreciate that. But I just feel like nobody's ever put it to you and challenged this capacity you have to just be okay with making stuff up. It's actually like in the Book of Mormon. Only there they pretty much acknowledge that the person's just lying. You're making stuff up again. Anyway,
yeah. Okay.
There we go.